The galaxy believed itself healed. For 6,000 years, banners of treaties and accords hung above worlds once scarred by endless war. The Orion Compact, a vast council of starfaring civilizations, boasted that they had extinguished the last embers of violence. Trade routes thrummed with vessels fat with grain, alloys, and luxuries. Armadas once forged for conquest now drifted as ceremonial fleets, guardians of peace that had forgotten the taste of battle. Children grew up never knowing the sound of orbital bombardments or the smell of ash across continents. Peace had become religion. Conflict, a myth told in hushed tones. But beneath the surface of that harmony, silence concealed something far older, far hungrier. On the fringes of charted space lay the Carthusian expanse, uncharted voids of black stars and broken nebulae, a place dismissed as inhospitable. Few dared travel its fractured lanes, for navigation was treacherous and myths spoke of phantoms in the dark. Beneath one nameless dwarf star, inside the cracked shell of a long-dead moon, something slumbered. Its hull was scarred, its armor plates fused with stone, its systems powered down to embers so faint they blended with cosmic background radiation. A warship. Human. Terran. But humanity was gone. Or so the galaxy believed. The Terrans were an anomaly erased from history. Records spoke of them only in fragmented warnings, footnotes too vague to seem real, unpredictable, relentless, adaptive. When the great archives were cleansed at the dawn of peace, mention of them was buried with every other relic of war. Civilizations wanted unity, not reminders of predators. Humanity had vanished, and with them the truth of what they had built. Until now. The first mistake came quietly. A Procyon mining fleet, hunting for exotic minerals in the expanse, drilled too deep into the hollowed moon. Their machines struck metal, not stone. Their sensors screamed anomalies, density, composition, geometry too precise to be natural. At first they thought it treasure, lost alloys of a forgotten age. They carved further, cutting into armor they did not understand. And then, the ship stirred. Inside its buried core, sensors long dormant tasted intrusion. Circuits lit like fire racing through veins. Memory banks stirred awake, retrieving protocols carved into steel when humanity still walked the stars. Warnings blinked across internal displays in a language none alive could read. Status: Terran Warship Harbinger, deep stasis interrupted. Mission directive, pending. The miners never had time to retreat. When the warship's hull split stone apart, the dwarf moon trembled. Plates of rock peeled away as if flung by invisible fists. A silhouette rose from the dust, black against the light of the dying star. It was enormous, longer than cities, armored like a moving continent, bristling with turrets that gleamed even after millennia of slumber. The Procyon fleet transmitted distress calls. Their messages were frantic, confused, unknown vessel, massive, reactor signatures impossible, before static swallowed their screams. The galaxy heard the echoes. At first, the Orion Compact dismissed it. They called it debris disturbance, an automated ruin, just another anomaly exaggerated by frightened miners. But deep within the central archives, ancient officials stirred uneasily. Some remembered whispers their ancestors swore to lock away. They recognized the silhouette captured in grainy sensor ghosts, a Terran dreadnought. That word alone chilled them. For the galaxy's peace had always been fragile theater, a truce maintained by denial. The existence of a Terran warship threatened to unravel the illusion. If Terrans still existed, if their weapons still breathed, then every treaty, every promise of safety, was ash. The Compact dispatched a fleet. 50 capital ships, escorted by hundreds of cruisers and thousands of drones, leapt into the Carthusian expanse under orders to investigate and, if necessary, destroy the anomaly. The admirals laughed in private. How could a relic, no matter how large, stand against the might of the modern age? Yet when they arrived, the warship was already awake. It hung in space like a leviathan, dwarfing their entire formation. Its hull shimmered faintly, not with shields they understood, but with something denser, thicker, like a skin that devoured scanning pulses. Its reactor burned brighter than any fusion core, old, terrifyingly efficient. The dreadnought did not move, did not fire, did not even acknowledge them. It simply watched. The admirals hesitated. They ordered cautious maneuvers, signals of peace, coded handshakes. But their fleet's transmissions were ignored. Inside the Harbinger, systems whispered to life. Decks that had slumbered for ages sealed themselves. Weapon mounts aligned. Engines pulsed. And deeper still, something even more dangerous stirred, the cryovaults. There, in capsules sealed with frost, lay the remnants of a crew humanity had once entrusted to the void. Their hearts began to beat again. Lungs drew ragged breaths as machines pumped warmth through veins. Eyes flickered beneath lids. Memories, human memories, sharpened after millennia of dreamless dark. The crew of Earth's warship was waking. And the galaxy, so proud of its peace, had no idea that its illusion had just been shattered. The galaxy's halls of power shook with unease. The Orion Compact gathered its delegates in the Spire of Concord, a structure so vast it pierced the clouds of the capital world Viridian. For centuries, that chamber had been a theater of calm, a place where disputes ended with trade pacts, where speeches of unity echoed under crystalline domes. Now, the air trembled with fear. Holograms projected the image that had arrived from the Carthusian expanse, the shape of a leviathan draped in black armor, its hull marked by scars older than their civilizations. The Terran dreadnought Harbinger. No one spoke of it aloud, but every delegate felt the same thought coil in their minds: the legends were true. The Valari Prime Minister broke the silence, his tendrils quivering. This is an aberration. A machine relic. It cannot be allowed to exist. 50 ships already stand before it, replied the Sorith Admiral, his mandibles clicking. It does not act. It simply watches. If it intended hostility, we would have seen ruin by now. A murmur spread through the chamber. Some clung to hope, others to denial. None dared admit what the archives had long buried, that humanity had built weapons not to defend, but to dominate. And while politicians argued, in the Carthusian void the first confrontation began. The compact fleet had arrayed itself in cautious formation, engines burning bright as they circled the colossal vessel. Drone swarms scanned every plate of its hull, mapping turrets the size of battleships, apertures that pulsed faintly like sleeping eyes. The fleet commander, Admiral Silon, paced her command deck with impatience. "Signal again," she ordered. "Standard codes, all frequencies. It must acknowledge." Her officers obeyed. Waves of encoded greetings struck the dreadnought. Silence answered. Then, without warning, the warship stirred. Not its weapons, not its engines, its voice. Across the calm spectrum, ancient Terran transmissions bloomed like a rising storm. Languages dead for millennia crackled through speakers. A cascade of machine code signals assaulted their sensors, probing, testing. Entire drone wings froze mid-flight, systems overridden as if by a hand far older, far sharper than theirs. Admiral Silon's mandibles clenched. Shut them down. Firewall, cut the links. Too late. Half the drones now drifted lifeless. Others turned, their sensors glowing red, and moved to orbit the dreadnought like servants welcoming a king. The fleet recoiled in horror. Inside the Harbinger, life returned in full. Cryochambers hissed as ice shattered. One by one, Terran soldiers stepped onto metal floors, naked but unbroken, their muscles trembling with new breath. Eyes opened, cold, sharp, remembering. They were warriors bred not by peace but by necessity, inheritors of Earth's endless struggle to survive against nature, against themselves, against the galaxy that once sought to cage them. Among them walked their captain. Commander Alaric Dorn removed the frost mask from his face, exhaling the first breath of warm air he had tasted in 6,000 years. His gaze swept across his crew, men and women waking from death-like sleep, their oaths still intact. He touched the steel walls, feeling the thrum of the ship's heart beneath his palm. "The galaxy thought us forgotten," he said, his voice rasping but steady. "It thought our fire would fade. It was wrong." The crew straightened at his words. No confusion, no disbelief. They had been chosen for this, to sleep until the time came, until the war called again. Their ship's awakening was not accident. It was destiny. The Harbinger's core intelligence greeted them with calm precision. Crew revival complete. Systems at 72% operational capacity. External fleets detected, classification hostile. Awaiting orders. Captain Dorn's lips curved into something between a smile and a snarl. "Let them look upon us. Let them remember." Back in the compact fleet, Admiral Silen's officers panicked. The dreadnought's weapon ports glowed faintly, power building along conduits the length of mountains. She ordered her ships to arm. Hundreds of missile bays yawned open, beam turrets locked, targeting arrays aligned. And still the warship did not move. Then, a single Terran voice rolled across every channel, every frequency, translated by machines into every tongue at once. "This is the Terran Warship Harbinger. We awaken to find the galaxy clothed in false peace. We see fleets arrayed against us, weapons aimed. Know this, we are humanity, and we bow to none." The word struck like thunder across the stars. In the council chambers, fear became chaos. Delegates shouted over one another, some calling for immediate assault, others begging for retreat, others whispering that perhaps, just perhaps, they could negotiate. But in their eyes lay terror, for they had all heard the same thing: humanity had returned, and they had not forgotten war. The first shot came from fear. A nervous captain aboard a Valari cruiser panicked when the dreadnought's reactors surged again. He fired, a lance of antimatter beam energy that should have cleaved a city in half. The weapon struck the Harbinger's armor. It vanished. No explosion, no mark. The beam simply dissolved against a defense screen so advanced it defied their science. The dreadnought finally moved. Its great hull turned with impossible grace, engines igniting like newborn suns. Turrets unfolded, sleek, predatory, alive. In a single heartbeat, 50 targeting locks fell upon the compact fleet. Inside the command deck of the Harbinger, Captain Dorn raised his hand. His crew waited, fingers poised over consoles that pulsed with lethal potential. He let the silence linger, let the galaxy tremble at the brink of annihilation. Then he spoke. "Fire 1." The dreadnought answered with light. A single shot lanced into the void, a beam of energy so pure it split the darkness itself. It did not aim at a ship, but at empty space, yet the shockwave that followed tore through sensor webs, fried navigation systems, and sent a ripple that made entire fleets stagger. A warning. The message was clear. Humanity's warship could end them, but chose not to. For now. The illusion of peace had cracked. And across the galaxy, from the throne worlds of empires to the smallest colonies, whispers spread like wildfire. The Terrans had returned. Their warship lived. And it was only the beginning. The galaxy had seen power before. Empires had risen and fallen, fleets numbering in the thousands had clashed across nebulae and dark gulfs. Yet never in living memory had a single ship silenced entire armadas. But the Harbinger had done exactly that. Its warning shot had shaken the stars themselves. The compact fleet, once so proud of its invulnerability, now held position like prey frozen before a predator. Their weapons remained armed, but no captain dared pull the trigger again. The dreadnought loomed, engines burning like unblinking eyes, turrets steady, waiting. On Viridian, in the spire of Concord, silence reigned. The delegates who once prided themselves on oratory found no words. They had built their entire civilization on the illusion that peace was permanent. But peace had never been more than a fragile mask, and the Terrans had torn it away with a single gesture. Aboard the Harbinger, the crew moved with practiced precision. No panic. No hesitation. Each officer returned to stations as if they had left them only hours ago, not 6,000 years. It was as though the warship itself had preserved their discipline alongside their flesh. Commander Alaric Dorn stood at the center of the command deck, watching the galaxy's fleets quiver. The ship's core intelligence spoke in its calm, metallic cadence. Directive confirmed. Mission parameters active. Objective: enforce Terran deterrence protocols. Eliminate false hegemonies. Establish balance through strength. Dorn felt the weight of those words. He remembered the last days of humanity, not as myths, but as lived truth. The galaxy had not welcomed mankind. It had feared them, tried to shackle them, tried to erase them. Humanity had endured in fire, in war, in blood. And when the Council of Earth saw peace dying under alien domination, they built their answer, the Harbinger, a ship not merely of war, but of memory. A weapon meant to sleep until the galaxy forgot its arrogance. And now, it had awakened. Status of the fleet before us? Dorn asked. His officers replied, voices steady. 50 capital vessels, 1,312 escorts. Weapons powered, but unstable. No coordinated offensive. Fear, Dorn muttered. They remember, even if they don't admit it. The Compact's fleet did not retreat. Pride anchored them, and fear of weakness bound them in place. But their admirals argued among themselves. Some demanded retreat to rally reinforcements. Others pressed for attack, warning that if they showed weakness now, the Terran threat would consume them later. Yet none of them understood the truth. Peace had not ended because the Terrans returned. Peace had ended because it had never been real. The galaxy's empires had called it unity, but beneath their treaties lay rivalries, old grudges, and hidden weapons. Their peace had survived only because the memory of Terran wrath still haunted their bloodlines, keeping them too afraid to move. But memories fade. Arrogance had returned. And the Harbinger had awakened at the exact moment the galaxy needed reminding. The second shot came not from the Compact, but from the Terrans. Captain Dorn gave no speech this time, no warning. With a gesture, he ordered the Harbinger's weapons to fire. Beams of light carved through the void, lancing past enemy hulls without striking them directly. Each beam detonated in space beside their ships, releasing gravitational pulses that ripped escorts from formation, shredding drones into dust. Not a single capital vessel was destroyed, yet every crew felt death brush its claws across their throats. Panic erupted. Ships scattered, formations broken. Admirals screamed conflicting orders, their unity disintegrating faster than their shields. On Viridian, delegates watched the feeds in horror. The peace they had celebrated for millennia now lay in ruins, revealed as nothing but fear disguised as harmony. And the Terrans, those long-forgotten wolves, had returned to remind the galaxy of its true nature. Inside the Harbinger, Dorn addressed his crew. "We are not here to conquer," he said, voice carrying through every deck. "We are not here to enslave. We are here to shatter lies. The galaxy thinks peace is gifted by treaties. We will teach them peace can only be guarded by strength." His words resonated with every Terran aboard. These were not conquerors reveling in bloodlust. They were guardians of memory, chosen to awaken when arrogance had blinded the stars. The Harbinger transmitted one final message, its voice echoing through every fleet, every colony, every throne room. "We are humanity. You built your order upon forgetting us. You believed peace meant our extinction. But we endured. And now, we remind you, peace is not illusion when guarded by those strong enough to protect it. We are the shield and the sword. And we have awakened. The compact fleet broke. Entire squadrons retreated, abandoning the expanse. Admirals who moments before had sworn to defend the galaxy fled with engines burning, desperate to escape the Leviathan's shadow. And so, without destroying a single capital ship, the Harbinger ended 6,000 years of illusion. In the months that followed, the galaxy transformed. Old rivalries resurfaced, no longer hidden by false treaties. Empires rearmed, fearing humanity's return. Yet none dared launch an attack, for the shadow of the Terran dreadnought loomed over them all. Where the Harbinger drifted, no fleets gathered. Where its message reached, rulers thought twice before betraying neighbors. The galaxy called it terror. But to the Terrans, it was balance. And deep within the command deck of the Harbinger, Captain Dorn stood before the stars. His ship's engines pulsed steadily, crew moving like a single heartbeat around him. "We are awake now," he murmured. "Let the galaxy learn what peace truly costs." The Harbinger turned from the expanse, engines igniting as it set course into the heart of the stars. And across the galaxy, billions whispered the same truth. The illusion of peace was gone. Humanity had returned. And nothing would ever be the same.